Hey everybody and welcome. It's been a hot minute. So, today we're doing a much more in-depth diamond tutorial than I've done before, which is great for all of you who love to do gems and whatnot. But this is specifically diamond. Why? Because diamonds are clear. And when you have something very saturated like a sapphire, ruby, emerald, like one of those, um, the color plays very, very differently, and you have to look at how creating depth and everything goes. With diamonds, you don't have as much of the feeling of depth because you see so much inside them. So, we're going to talk about the patterns that you see created by the light and the refractions, and then we're going to get started on how to color that and make it look pretty realistic, um, and what you would see in a normal diamond. So, the normal and most basic cut that you see everywhere is a round brilliant. So, that's what we're going to do because you can take this idea and go forth with it and basically turn it into any shape that you want. So we're going to start with the table. And in the table, you'll see that there are lines from the outside of each of these. And so where these lines are, where the facets are, these would kind of connect to give you a bit of a framework across the gem. Now, we already have a tutorial for how to draw these facets. So if you need that link, I'm sure you can find it. If not, just let me know. So inside each of these V's that we have, as you can see over here, it kind of has a very elongated diamond shape. Now, that's it kind of creates like this gray like flower, and then it's echoed on the outside on the next facet out. So we have this going to go from these corners here, and then you come out towards this like that to make an elongated shape, diamondish shape. And then you would go from this corner over here to up here, and you would just continue this all the way around and do it better than me, apparently. So you just have this elongated diamond shape. Around the entirety of the table. Like that. Okay? So you see I've got that over here, and I've just colored it in with different grays. From here, this shape is kind of echoed up here, much like when you see a glass of water. Okay, when you see a glass of water and you put a straw into it, we've got a straw here. What happens when you see that from the side of that is when the straw enters the water, it looks like it moves over here. It's the same effect. It's an optical illusion of light passing through a barrier or a surface and it changing the way that you see things. So what you're seeing is the difference between this single layer, I guess, and then this facet, because the facet changes the angle that you see the facet on the bottom, So the top facet, because that's what we're drawing, is bottom facets. So the top facets changes the angle so that you see all the way from here to up here. So you start out here and you make this triangle again. And you do that all the way around. It's a refraction thing with light. And it's actually in most gems. It's just much harder to see in those because of the fact that they're so saturated. The lighter the gem is, the more of the actual facets and interplay that you see. Whereas the darker the gem is, the more you just see color and not a whole bunch of the detail inside of it. Except for, like, you know, the light flashes and whatnot. Okay, so the next little piece of the puzzle that we're doing is each of these little triangles on the outside kind of has wings. So, excuse me, goodness. Now what I'm talking about is we're going to go from out here, kind of like this tapers up. We're going to taper it this way, like this, and give each of them little wings. And they don't, none of these, by the way, have to be perfect. They can vary, light refracts differently, so you don't want them to be perfect. You just kind of want them to generally look the same. They don't have to taper too much. They don't have to taper a lot. They can taper a little bit. They can just be there, or they can just be straight, because the light is going to interact differently with each one. So, not super difficult. Oops, I put that like way out there, didn't I? Wrong spot, y'all. Wrong spot. That's okay. So then we have this. Alright, now, that's kind of the basics, and then we can go into more. But as far as color goes, it's just everything's gray. I prefer to have lots of variation in my gray. You can use warm grays, cool grays, whatever. And then you come in afterwards and add your really, really super darks, your black, on top of that, to really make it pop. So if we have, this is like a medium tone gray, I guess. Guess it's on the lighter side. Which one is this? Oh, this is number 3, in case you wondered. I use polychromos. This is cold gray, number 3. It doesn't matter what colors you use. You could use any color you want. You could do this all in purple. That would be completely fine. And then we'll grab, let's see, here's a darker gray. Like that, okay? So, there you go, there's that. And then you can go on to the outside, and you're going to do the same with these. All the way around it. You know, switch it up so that you see some are dark, some are light. Some are dark and light, you never know. I'm not going really meticulously, obviously, because I want to show you how this is done, not how to color it perfectly, because you guys know how to color. Okay, so let's move on. Here in the, where did the regular one go? There it goes. Okay. Here in these facets, these are the, I think they're called star facets. They're the ones that touch the middle part, which is the table. So you've got the table facet, that's the middle one. Star facets, which are the ones that touch the table. I think these are called main facets. I'd have to go back over my faceting rhetoric in order to tell you if that's what they're really called. But I think these are the mains, and then these are girdle facets, or upper girdle facets. Because they touch the outside edge, and the outside edge goes down, and it's called the girdle. So, in this, you basically just want, like, V's. V's will work. We'll just do that. You just want sections that you can color in, basically. They don't have to be any sort of specific way, but you generally want 3 to 4 sections in each, so that you can color them in. I'm doing these because I think that's the way they go. I think I did these. Yeah, sorta. It looks good afterwards, don't worry. Nobody's gonna call you out and be like, that's not how that is. Unless it's me, and then I might. You never know. I won't, don't worry. Okay, so now you have those to color as well. And basically it's just put a light beside a dark. Like if you are using, you know, a medium gray, put a light gray beside it. And then maybe a darker gray by it. So just vary your consistencies. Not consistencies, that's not the word. Your gradient, your values. So if you have a light and a dark, put them next to each other. If you have a dark, put a light next to it. And they don't have to be like hugely like, you know, for the black, put white next to it. It doesn't have to be like super dramatic. You just want enough so that it looks, you know, different. That's all. Remember to leave some spaces white. See? Some white spaces. It's always good for you. Okay. Now, over here in the, we're going to connect these lines. Most of these will look connected when you finish them anyway. But a good diamond will look like you can see all of them. Alright, and then in the corners of these little facets, these star facets, tend to be very dark. So I generally color them in with black. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I generally do that. They don't have to be black, they can just be a dark gray. But I generally keep them very, very dark. That's what I have mostly observed in good diamonds, is that the corners of the star facets are pretty dark. Kind of like that. I'll go around and make some of these dark as well. You don't want a ton of black. You just want it to kind of be around, you know? Just like, it's one of those like accent things. You just want enough accents to offset everything else in a certain way. because you do want lots of contrast inside your diamond. You want everything, you want there to be white spaces, and you want there to be black spaces, and you want every gray in between. As you can see here in our already done diamond, well, sort of. I left that one so we can do color flashes, because I'm not going to color this entire thing, I don't think. See, in here, I'm still using black, but I'm pressing a lot lighter. Pressure. That's the other thing. Is just because you only have like 2 or 3 grays doesn't mean that you can't get a varying amount of gray values, because this is very light gray, but it can be as dark as it can, as well as quite light. And just very, very lightly put it on there. So, just because you only have 2 or 3 grays doesn't mean you actually only have 2 or 3 grays. The amount of pressure you use with your pencil will give you different values. So I can go like really, really light on this, and then push a lot harder next to it, and it gives me a different value, a darker value. So it just depends on how much pressure you put on that pencil. Okay, now on the inside of our table, we have varying shapes that all kind of V towards the line. So they all kind of go in like this. And you can color them in however you want. And switch to a darker gray. And some of these will be gray out here. Do you guys see how careful I'm being? It's not at all. Like, not at all. That doesn't mean be super sloppy like me. I just don't want to be sitting here just coloring. Okay, so you fill it in with all your grays, right? And obviously, just leave some of them white. It's fine. Because remember, you still gotta have places to put rainbows, right? Because all diamonds have rainbows. At least the good ones do. Generally, rule of thumb, you can put any color you want in a diamond. They do refract the entire rainbow. Okay? They do. But it is much easier to put a very simplified version of it in there. And the most often that you see visually is blue. And then you see red and yellow, which make an orange. So those are the colors that I pulled. I prefer, personally, to use a very cold blue in mine. But I've done lots of different blues. I also have a very warm blue, and this one is phthalo blue. I love phthalo blue. So you can do little flashes of blue, and you can put it over the grays, you can put it over the white, you can put it over the black, you can put it wherever you want. Doesn't matter. Don't fill up and make the entire facet blue. That's not what you want. Like, you can definitely make a lot of it blue if you want, but don't fill up the entire facet. Okay? Okay. And the blues are a different type of flash than your quote-unquote rainbow ones. So don't put your flashes of blue, or at least I say don't. What I mean is I don't, okay? When I say don't or do or whatever, it's because I don't or I do those things. It doesn't mean you have to do what I say, okay? In any of my tutorials, it doesn't mean you have to do what I say, ever. It is just how I personally do or stylize something. You go and do it however you want. If you want to put them all together, put them all together. If you want to use green and purple as your color flashes, use green and purple. Okay? If you want to do this entire thing in pink with purple dots in it and blue flashes, go do that. It's not a big deal. Do your art or your gems the way you want to. Okay? Always. There are no rules. None whatsoever. Don't listen to me. Okay, so I pulled out for my little rainbows, you know, yellow, orange, and red. And so I would do it like this, where I have yellow, and then I would go straight to the red, because I know that I can just use lighter pressure and then go darker pressure. For some people, that's not gonna, like, and that gives me a full little tiny rainbow. I don't know if you can see that or not. Can you see that? Okay, that's a little bit better. Anyway, that gives me a full little rainbow from yellow all the way to red. Right? And it's kind of what a color flash looks like. If you want to use the orange in between to blend, go for it. Nobody's going to stop you. I just know that I can do it with just using two because they blend together. Anyway. So I like to put them in little corners, as you can see. And then just build out from there. Your pencils do need to be sharp so you can fit into all your little corners. Obviously, my pencils are sharp, or at least decently so. I do have a review on a sharpener. If you want to see it, it's somewhere on my YouTube. It is my favorite sharpener. It's like the Carl D Angel something or other. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, it's a hand crank, and it gives me these sharp little points that stay forever, which is wonderful, on my polychromas. Okay? So, do as many or as few color flashes as you want. Make it yours. I'm just going to add like blue cast to some of these. This is ultramarine, I think, or light ultramarine. I'm just kind of tinting these, put it over some of the grays. Because that's what I want this feel to have. Or this diamond to have just like blue cast to it. Because you'll see that a lot in diamonds, so might as well. Okay. Let's zoom back out here. Looks pretty good. So that is how I do little diamonds, and then I put them in everything. It's not very hard to do. It's just time consuming. Oh, I mean, you know, an hour and you'd have a really, really great one. The better your gem, the more time you spend, the better your gems will look, obviously. But when you're doing smaller ones, you can't fit in as much detail, so stick with your basics and you'll still come out with really great looking gems. So there you have it. When you're doing little tiny gems, all you're going to see is a couple little bits of gray, a couple little bits of black, and little bits of white that you leave the paper showing through, and you have a diamond. Like, nobody's going to be able to tell, especially if you're doing them like itty bitty ones. But there is a tutorial I have on tiny diamonds. Look through Patreon videos, and you'll find that. I think it might be on YouTube. I'm not sure. I have to go look. But as far as Patreon videos go, here you go, in-depth diamond, and they come out looking pretty good. So, off you go, doodle away, and have fun. See you next time.